Hey, everybody. Welcome to our weekly episode of Living with Annietude. I'm here. There's a lot going on. We have a very special guest, and then we have a double feature tonight with another special guest at 8:30. So this is on and it's happening. What did I want to tell you at first? There's a lot going on. It's a really interesting and good time. I am psyched to see who engages tonight. Psyched to have you back, psyched to be back. And my girlfriend Tisha's here. I'm bringing her in right now. She's a rock star badass. And that's why I relate to her. All right, hold on. Here she is. Hello, beautiful.
Hello, beautiful.
Hi. Oh, Travis, what up?
Hey, Travis.
Travis is here. I love seeing him. I get I don't know that no matter how many shows I do, I don't know that I'll ever stop getting excited when people jump on and say hi. Hi.
I know. Same here.
It's like it doesn't matter. Hi, David. It doesn't matter how many people. It doesn't matter. I want to say hi to everybody and be all excited. Hey, Scott. Nice to see you. David, good to see you too. I haven't seen you in so long. So, all right, I have to say something. So I did a thing.
What'd you do?
It's a major thing.
Okay.
But let's just hope that my dad's not watching, okay? But I did a thing.
Oh.
Wait, how do I do it right side up so you can see? But it says emes, which in Hebrew means truth.
Truth.
And I am so unbelievably empowered. And we were just talking about the word intention. Hi, Raquel.
Hey, Raquel.
Happy Tuesday night, Trav. We were just talking about the word intention, and I want to talk to you about what you're doing and look, I get to see it when I go like that.
Oh, it's very cool. I like it.
What intention means to you and what you're doing intentionally right now. So I'm going to give the floor to you. Talk
okay.
me up.
Okay. Well, I want to share this. I do a lot of mentoring, Annie. So I was mentoring one of my international business students, and I told her, I had to bring back the story of the tortoise and the hare. Do you remember that story? I was like, she hadn't heard it. I was like, all right, I'm going to bring this back. And I was telling her the story, and it kind of ties into what we're talking about tonight about intention. So back on January 11th, I had done a rule of life lesson, and I was telling everybody on LinkedIn and so forth that I was like, I'm starting to take real estate classes, and it was hell on wheels. It was 90 hours of Zoom, 5-hour days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, little breaks in between, and now I'm at the very
going up to school. It's like
it's just like, oh.
Did you feel like you had to learn how to do school again?
I did. I felt like I had to be back in college.
I know. Same thing with my MBA.
And cramming all weekend for the last 2 weeks of just cramming, head in the books, taking the practice exams. And then yesterday I passed. I was telling you, Annie, that I passed the first time. I passed the school exam, and then tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., super, super early for me, but 7 a.m.
I learned one thing before we came on live. In the midst of you passing, there was a couple of people there that hadn't passed yet, so it was a little scary for a few minutes. You're like,
it was. Yeah. I was actually talking to a girl, and she's like, "This is my third time," and I was like, please tell me I don't have to take this crap 3 times, because it's a 3-hour test.
Yes.
It's just
wow. Good job, girl. On your first time to pass that. That's amazing.
But what I was saying is, and Travis saying cramming nightmares, I know. And I am not one for caffeine. I don't drink caffeine, but I had one espresso bean, and that was rocked my world upside down. A chocolate espresso bean. And I was like, oh hell, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. But I want to talk about this because I set the intention, Annie, on January 11th. I actually went on and I said, I'm really not going to be on LinkedIn as much as I am. I'll be here, I'll be there, I'll be posting, but I can't spend hours doing this because we talked about the time that it just takes to be everywhere. You just can't. So I looked at this quarter as, okay, here's my thing. I'm going to do these classes. I'm going to take that test. I set it in my schedule. Actually, I'm going to show this to you right here. See, I have it all crossed out, and I
different colors and your
colors. And every time I would do it, I'm like, another one down, another one down, another one down.
That is discipline, girlfriend. That's
you
discipline.
have to. And I was actually supposed to mentor at Phoenix Business Journal's Mentoring Monday on February 22nd. And I learned that if I had skipped the class that day, Annie, I would have to wait another 4 weeks to take it because it's only like he only teaches that specific section every 4 weeks. And I was like,
right. You're
hell,
like,
I can't.
I'm not waiting. No,
I know.
not happening.
I was like, no. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I got to skip out. I cannot mentor at this event. I will finish what I started. So, I just like to say that when we have a goal in mind, it's so important to just keep focused and set the intention and look at it in smaller chunks like this, instead of looking at it going, okay, I'm going to do this for the year. It's like, I'm going to do this for the next quarter.
And that's with everything, right? Like that's how when people say, how do you do this? How do you accomplish this? How do you get this done? How do you, and you take the whole thing, it would feel so overwhelming. But when you break it down into little parts, I went back to school for 20 months to get my MBA, and it was the hardest thing. I've been through a lot of things, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life because, it's a little different when have kids and you have a job and you have obligations. Right. It's not the same as going to college, where it's like, that's all you have. So, I really had to set the intention of like, I had no social life. So I feel you on that completely. You have to break it down. You have to break it down. So that's what you do.
And you have to prioritize and you have to focus. You have to do all that. And it's thanks so much. I appreciate that. Well, and it's just like this weekend, my husband's like, are you really going to study again? And I was like, shh, I'm studying. I was like, get out of the room. Like, I have to focus on this and study. Like you're disrupting me right now. Like, it's not time.
This is my time. I need to do this. And we're so similar like that. Like what I feel like you are, like when we put our mind to something, it's like, you saw my shirt that I posted today.
I know.
Like,
love
it.
Love
get in my way. Like when I want something, I am getting that thing. No holds barred. You know what I mean? So I'm with you. I don't know, where do you think that discipline comes from? Because I have it too, for sure. Like I'm very ambitious and really, really driven. I know where I think mine comes from, but where do you think yours comes from?
Personally, I do feel like my mom was that type of person that she was always like, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to do this thing. So I think that passed on to me, but I think it's just this, I just want to prove it to myself. Like, I want to do this. So I think that's that burning desire, that fuel that just is like, we're going to finish this. Like I have and maybe Annie, you've been the same type. It seems like you are, but I'm that type of person that it's like, if it comes out of my mouth, it's getting done no matter what.
There's no stopping it. Kind of.
There's no stopping me.
I'm doing it. I'm not quitting.
I remember there was a time where, and I wrote about this in my book, I was literally in the dentist chair and my dentist is cleaning my teeth. And, there's always a small talk and you're just kind of listening because you can't really say anything. And he's talking about how his wife had just completed the marathon in Las Vegas. And by the end of my dentist, cleaning my teeth, but by the end of our time together, I was like, I didn't do the marathon, but I was like, I'm going to do the half marathon. And I signed up that day.
That's how you roll. That's how you roll. You're competitive, but like when people tell me, I'm more competitive with myself. Like I want to do it. I want to get it done. It's not so much other people as much as I want to get shit done. And
exactly.
I want to say I'm going to do it. I do it. So I'm right there with you. So that's
exactly.
You're a driven, ambitious woman. I love it. It is an empowering thing.
And it's something that I feel like comes through just like I said, I mentor so many business owners and I'm like, this is it. Like we are going to do this together. We are going to make this happen together because I don't want to see people stuck. I hate feeling stuck. I hate feeling like I haven't progressed. I feel like that to me is a definition of failure of if you're not progressing, you're just staying in the same place, hoping and wishing for things to change, So I'm like, it's time to move.
Well, you nailed why I went and why I went back to school for my MBA, because I was stuck and I was like, I'm not going to be held back in this world anymore. And this is going to propel me forward. And it was transformative, just the whole process. So I feel you. I am proud of you. I am excited for you. what I do for a living is help people get unstuck. So I understand that, what it's like to try to get people to be as motivated and driven as you are. So I admire you, and you're just a great example of leading the way.
Thank you.
What do your kids think? What did your kids think about you accomplishing this goal?
I think that it just showed them that I could do it, that it's like, you put your mind to something and you just get it done. And like we talked about, you do it in chunks. You don't overwhelm yourself. So here's my thing, Annie. So why I'm super excited is after this week, total unplug. I gave myself permission, grace to just say, you know what? I've worked really, really damn hard for the last quarter. I'm going on vacation and I'm getting off the damn grid, and I'm going to put my toes in the sand and drink a lot. And that's what's going to happen because I have so much.
Now, did you have that as a goal at the end the whole time, or did you just decide this, or was that like your dangling carrot at the end of the line for you?
It was the dangling carrot. Honestly, it was, I purposely, doing this, said, okay, I mapped it out. And I said, from January to this date, I know I have to finish these tests. It's been on my calendar since before I started of when I would take these tests. And I even gave myself like a little buffer of, well, if I don't pass this first time, then I'm going to take it next Monday and I'm going to take this. But I had this goal of sitting on the beach and not thinking about real estate class.
Right. You do get to a point where you're just like, I don't want to think about
I'm done. I don't want to carry this baggage with me to the beach. I just want to be like, it's over. I'm off. Now time for the next adventure. And so that's the thing too, Annie, is people say, you're getting into real estate. How does that make sense? Why are you getting into real estate?
About that. I mean, it makes sense to me because I totally get it, but let's tell the audience.
Okay. So you guys know in prior to COVID, my business was heavily tied to live events, speaking engagements, event consulting, like all of those things that flew out the window. That's why I like to share. And this is a story about resilience of, all right, that's not working. Let me get back up. Let me get back up and figure this out. And so I go to this co-working space here in Chandler, Arizona, where I'm at, and it's tied to a brokerage. It's tied to a real estate brokerage. And I've been there for about a year. I actually started going there because of a podcast studio. And
Frank, we're answering this right now, Frank. We're answering how she's going to tie this all in and what she's going to do. Thank you for joining. Go ahead.
Okay. So I keep getting asked to get on and speak on certain topics. And the one topic I love to talk about is, of course, personal branding. Personal branding. Again, remember, I'm tied to a brokerage. So the people tuning in are realtors. They're realtors, they're solopreneurs, they're people who are in very saturated industries. And so it gets me thinking, after doing some research and talking to some other personal brand strategists of what they offer, I figured out a way that I could really stand out from the crowd and create something more unique. And my whole process is in building their brand from scratch. Like, okay, we're going to build it like it's a hot mess, or you have no brand, and we're going to take you through the process so that you become confident. You feel confident. You have a strategy in place. You have this, you have all these tangible assets. So I started getting more and more realtors as clients. And this is in the course of less than a year.
Yeah.
And so all of my clients being realtors are like, you should really get your real estate license because you keep meeting realtors, you keep referring realtors. And would it be great if you just made the commissions just by agent attraction or by referral and you don't even have to touch it? And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. All right. This is making so much sense to me. And so we talked about how do you sustain a business in COVID and all these circumstances? And it truly is adding lanes to your highway. So not just being dependent on, okay, I do this. Well, what if the bottom falls out and it's gone? I already had that happen to me. I'm going to add more lanes to my highway. So now I still do the personal branding. I still do the business mentoring. I can still speak, but now I've got real estate as kind of a, hey, this is another avenue if and when I choose to take it.
I so love that quote, really, really love that quote. And it's all about, I just think one of the most important things these days, but especially these days, is to be adaptable. And when you can adapt to circumstances and, like you said, add lanes to your highway versus put yourself in a box of this is what I do and I don't adapt and I don't grow and I don't evolve, you're going to get stuck where you are, and you can't expand like that, and you can't grow and evolve. And it's really hard to be successful when you are kind of not growing.
Yeah.
So that's a great outlook. We have a lot of people, solid strategy. Travis says, Raquel says, realtors need that big time. Trust me. Looks like you definitely have it going on with people that definitely think that your strategy is going to work.
Yeah.
So tell me what else obviously this is what's been on your radar, but tell me what else you have going on, because I know that there have been some things popping up for you, and tell me more about you.
Okay, so one thing that popped up is I was asked to be part of this, it's a book called 28 Credentials, where they're interviewing, there's going to be different volumes, Annie, but they're interviewing 100 entrepreneurs for every section of the book, for every volume of the book. And this is coming out of Malaysia. And so here's kind of a funny story and a good lesson too. So I was asked just a couple weeks ago, and it's right in my craziness. I'm trying to do class and handle clients and so on. And they're like, will you be a part of this book? We need a picture of you, and we need 28 quotes that are uniquely yours. And I said, oh, okay. And I'm like scrambling. And then I remembered I've written 140 rule of life lessons. And I finished these I still have 5 more to go until I get to my 140. But I was like, I could just pick any one of those lessons that are my quotes.
Yeah,
I know. So it's kind of like you do the work and the opportunity comes and you're like, done deal.
You know what? I have to give you some credit right now. I have to give you some credit, because I have to tell you that I was asked, we're in a similar space, and we have similar, I think, personalities and what we do and how we treat people and interact with people. I was asked to do that as well. Yeah. And I felt overwhelmed by it. And I actually said no to the opportunity, because I'm not as creative as you. And I was like, I was overwhelmed with everything, and I was not in the moment. And I was like, but I'm also practicing how to say no sometimes to things, because I take on too much. So I was proud of myself, and now I'm like, shit, I should have. But I'm so excited that I'll get to see your part of it. So, but that's really exciting.
Okay, because I'm going to mentor you right now, Annie. We are always going to be our own worst critic, and self-doubt plays a huge part in that. So, hey, you know what? I know that if that opportunity is back, or you want to go back and say, you know what, I could do this now, then there are more volumes that they're creating.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I really swear to you that I was in the middle of 16 things, which I always am. And I thought to myself, you know what, that's awesome. But I'm going to do what I never do, and I'm going to say no this time. And now I'm like kicking myself. What was I thinking? Because you made it sound so exciting. And, now maybe I will go back and say, but that's really awesome. And that's going to be so big for you. And I can't wait to see your name in it as part of it.
Thank you. It was, I talked about this the other day in one of my convo in my Camrys about what has LinkedIn done for you lately. And I was just sharing that. Yeah. Do you remember that? And I was like, I'm getting so many cool opportunities just from showing up, right? Like global opportunities. Hey, June. And so it's just incredible. And you're right, Annie, there's opportunities that I'm like, I'm going to say no to that. And there's opportunities where I'm like, hell yeah, we're going to do this.
I'm doing it. Yeah. And I have to give you credit, because you were in the midst of all of this studying and all of this, and you totally just still did it. So I'm inspired. I'm inspired by someone who can actually take a beat and just be like, I think I will do that. So that's pretty awesome. You practice what you preach, girlfriend. So that's awesome. Yeah. I'm so excited everybody's like here and engaging. It's just really nice to see everybody show up for you.
Yeah.
And our chat. So tell me about this. This is my latest. Like, tell me about how your interactions with your kids are going with COVID and everything going on. I have to tell you that I bring this up because we have it in common, obviously. And I just got off the Zoom before I got on with you for my son's middle school meeting, because he's going to be in middle school next year. Now, I know it's hard to believe that I have a middle schooler next year. I know that's really hard for everyone to believe. However, it's the truth. And I want to know, what milestones are your kids hitting? How are you interacting with them? What's going on with COVID in them and everything like that? Fill me in personally.
Okay, so if you recall, Annie, we had some craziness going on in September, or just because of COVID. Like my son was back in person. My daughter was online, and she was having like massive panic attacks, just
Yeah, yeah,
anxiety. And it was so, so sad. I was like,
yeah, yeah.
this isn't you. I know this is not you. And so we made a very big decision to move her out of that school that we were like, you're going to stay here forever, into the school that's in our neighborhood, and totally different kid. In
Wow.
fact, okay, so this is the coolest thing. So my daughter's teacher, it was her birthday today. So happy birthday to Ms. Johnson. And my daughter comes into my room yesterday and she's like, will you record me? I wrote a song for my teacher and I want to sing it to her for her birthday. And I was like,
And this is the kid that just a few months ago was so anxious that she couldn't
yeah,
even do school. Like, look at
yeah.
that. How resilient they are.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
my daughter, cause cool milestone, she just made it into the gifted program for math. And you know what? Kudos to her, because that is not me. That is
I
not
was
my
just gonna say, I'm
strength.
not in the gifted math program. No.
I was having anxiety, Annie, when I talked about the real estate class, because there's math questions and
Yeah,
it's all
yeah.
about what is the percentage of profit of this and that, and then this equation and crap. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it makes you anxious. I get it.
I only missed one math problem. So I would pat myself on the
I'm
back.
gonna
I
give you
hate
some
math.
serious credit. I hate it too. I'm not as bad at it as I think I am, but I hate it too. And getting the MBA was definitely a challenge because there's a hell of a lot of finance and accounting.
Yeah.
Raquel's son turned 20 yesterday. How old are your kids?
Yay! So my kids
Congratulations.
are, I do have a middle schooler too. So a seventh grader, he's 12 years old. And then I
Mhm.
have my daughter who's 9. And so here's something for you, Annie.
Okay.
They're both gifted math scholars. My son is aced his pre-algebra exam, his final, and I was like, how do you kids do this?
Their father. Their father's
And I was like,
obviously a
clearly
math
it's not
fan.
me. I'm an English girl.
Whenever my kids are good at that stuff, I'm like, well, he contributed, you know?
I know. I was like, it wasn't me. It must have been him.
Yeah,
It's just not me.
exactly. Exactly. That is
So
awesome. How is middle school? Wait, were you, I think you were in the middle of telling me a story. Go ahead.
no,
Did I
I was saying that the kids are doing awesome. They feel like they've really, just picked up and went back to, like, they both entered new schools this year. So that's always hard when you're like, okay, you got to leave your friends behind and go to this new school, but they're really resilient. I think they get that from me. I'm just going to say.
you just said, do you know that that's my word for 2021 is resilient? I actually have
Okay.
the other wrist. This
Oh,
says resilience. That's my word because I believe that that's everything that I'm going to be like manifesting this year is
yeah.
resilience and an ability to come back and an ability to adapt and evolve, like we were just talking about. So
I like it. I
um,
like it. Yeah, my word is momentum, and there hasn't been a
you
shortage of
certainly
it.
have it, girl. You certainly have it. What else do you have going on? Where can people like tell me about like what are you still interested in personal clients? Or are you still doing real estate? Like tell me about what people can find you and do.
I am. So I am getting ready. Like I said, I'm taking most of March off. I will not be around really until like that last week of March, because my kids, they're on spring break. It's like 3 weeks off in March, right? So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a mom. I'm going to go on vacation and I'm just going to get the hell out of Dodge and just
You're
clear my
gonna be
head.
so rested and ready to take on the world when you come back. Not that
Oh
I
my
want
gosh.
to think about coming back yet, but that is like a really awesome that you're rewarding yourself, you're self-caring, you're doing all the things. That is
Yes.
so good.
All the things. So what's exciting me though is as I was setting the intention of Q1 is all about learning and getting this done. Q2 is that comeback. It's like, all right, we're going to make this happen. I actually met the broker. Remember I was telling you that I work at the co-working space and the brokerage is right there.
Yep.
So the owner of the brokerage from EXP comes to me and she gives me a big hug yesterday because I passed. And she's like, I knew you could do this. Even before I knew you would do this. And that just made me so happy because I'm like,
Good.
the fact that you noticed me even before you knew me was awesome, that you knew I had that potential. And so Q2 is going to come around. I'm getting ready. So kind of, little secretive stuff, but I'm getting ready to launch another business.
Another business. All right. Tell us. All right. This is. I don't know how much you can tell us, but give us a little summary of what that means.
Well, so I didn't want to mingle like Tisha Marie Enterprises with this company. So I'm getting ready to create another company, and I'll name the name when I'm ready to. But it's really going to be about showing people how to add their personality to that real estate business, because so many people are lacking in it. So the personal branding comes into play, the referral sources come into play, doing real estate on the side comes into play. Like I love that I get to do that. And who knows, like I have no idea where this is going to take me in the next year. No idea, but I'm having a lot of fun doing
That's
it.
my favorite thing about you. And my takeaway from this whole conversation is, and I want people to hear this, is that you don't have to have the end goal in sight. You don't have to have the end goal picked out and dangling in front of you or written down. You don't have to have that. You can still start. And you can say what Tisha just said, which is, I don't know what's going to be. And that's okay. So give yourself permission to not know exactly what's going to be in your life. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that you are goalless. It doesn't mean that you have no direction, right? I mean, wouldn't you say that?
Yeah. I'm saying, wherever this journey leads me, because I've had some people that are like, that's so cool. You're going to be like a full-time realtor. I'm like, hold up. We never said that.
No.
But I will say that the reason I took the classes was because I wanted to get in the minds of my clients, and I wanted to know what they're going through. And I know now 90 hours of Zoom class did not tell me how to brand or market myself. It was all about legalities and statutes and just a whole bunch of stuff that I'll never need to really know. So, I like that I can walk the talk. And I had a guest, you probably know, Jordan Mendoza. We were talking about on my live stream last week about being a practitioner of what you preach. And I feel that if I'm going to work with realtors, for instance, I want to know what they're going through so that I could be a solution for them. So I could say, oh man, I totally know what you're going through because I had to go through the classes. I've had to go get clients. I've had to brand myself as that as well. So you put yourself in your client's shoes and you're like, this is how I can better serve you because I've also gone through it myself.
I've been there. So that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And that's exactly what you're supposed to do, and how you become the solution versus like you're actually filling a need. You're found the need and you're filling that need. And that's how people are really successful, when they fill an actual need instead of, oh, I think people will like this, maybe people like it, when you fill a need that's out there, and when people need you, and then you can look for, like with what I do, I can relate it in that in my life experience, I've just had such vast experience with life and living the lives that I've lived that like, it's rare that a client of mine has gone through something that like I can't empathize and feel compassionate, and I feel like I can put myself in their mind, and that's how we connect. So that's what you're doing. You're connecting, which is really incredible. So
So still taking on private clients, still getting ready to do my personal brand builder challenge when I return, and still doing
some other businesses and doing 18 other things.
Just wearing the mom hat, the business hat, the cook, the chauffeur, all that good stuff.
Awesome. Well, where can people find you as we wrap up this episode and roll into the next one with our next beauty?
I know, your double feature. So yes, LinkedIn is primarily where I hang out, although I've been a little MIA lately. You can find me at Tisha Marie Pelletier. And then on my website at TishaMarie.com, I have all of those rule of life lessons I share every single Monday, unless I'm traveling or studying. And that's actually just a continuation of my book. So, Annie, I've written a couple of books about my story, which was my way of leaving a legacy for my kids. So I'm like, you can always remember, what I was going through, the lessons that I've learned, and then I can always go back to those stories and kind of reminisce about where I've been and what I've accomplished. Pretty cool.
I mean, you really do walk the talk, right? Am I saying that right? Because my brain is in mush today by this time of day. Of course, that's what my podcast is, but no, you really do. And you practice what you preach. And I admire you in so many ways. So, I mean, you definitely have that badass, but you're also like the sweetest thing. And I just love all of it. So I thank you for being here and being such an inspiration to all of us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Annie. And thanks to everybody that tuned in. See a lot of faces that I know. So I appreciate the support. And I know you got your double feature coming up. So
I know. Let's bring her on in while you're still here. Hey, girlfriend, how are you?
Hey,
are you guys connected? Do you know each other?
I don't know yet. I have a baby.
But we need to be.
Connected.
Yeah. I heard the word badass and I'm like, I got to know every single badass on this.
And then you need to know Tisha. So introduce yourselves to each other. This is your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And you're welcome to stick around too. We can make it all three of us talking. I have no problem with that. I really, I loved enjoying what you're doing, and congrats on the real estate.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have some vino and relax.
I'm crazy. I'm super crazy. I scheduled my big exam tomorrow, the state test, and it's at 7 a.m. my time. That was the latest time they had. And I was like, oh, hell, I'm just going to take it. But then they said you have to be there 30 minutes before. So I called my mom and I was like, could you come and take the kids for me? Just cool. So I'm going to bow out gracefully just so I could study a little more and then hit the sack. I'm like super, super tired. But yeah, have a great show, Annie.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here, girlfriend. And I'll talk to you soon. Stay in touch.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Hello, my beauty with the eyes that I always look at.
Oh my God, this is my lucky day.
Oh, please. I'm so excited to have you here. My kids are like, what's going on? You're doing an extra show. I'm like, yes, I am. I have two wonderful badass beauties here with me tonight. Kelly Blackman said, I heard beauty and I thought Annie was calling me to get in. I was. I wanted you to call in. Can you do me a favor? Because this is one of my favorite things to do is to just have like an off the cuff conversation. Introduce yourself. Tell me what you have going, like what's going on, what's at the top of your list, because I know you have a lot going on. And then let's just chat.
Yeah, I mean, I have so much going on, Annie. I was listening to you guys and I was like, okay, what do I want to talk about with Annie? And I was like, there's so many things. Like I need more time. Half an hour is just not enough. So, I'm doing so much. I feel like since I talked to you last time, so much has changed too. Mm-hmm. I mean, how long has it been? It's been.
It was like it was the summer.
Yeah,
so it was a year since we chatted. Yeah. And the coincidence is somehow you ended up on my calendar, and you and I have yet to figure out how we got. I either put you there or you put yourself there, but neither of us knew what it was. But we just were like, screw it, let's talk, and we had like the best conversation.
Totally,
it was so real and so authentic, and just I was like, I really like this girl. She knows what's up.
And that was before COVID.
Yeah.
So it's been almost a year. It's been a little bit over a year since we met, and so you could see how much has changed since then. So COVID happened, and prior to COVID, I was doing all in-person training. So like a dummy, I put my eggs in all the live training basket because I just love being in front of people, and I love the whole classroom environment. And so, but then it happened, and then it's like, okay, now you can't go anywhere.
Now what?
And I wasn't ready for virtual at all. Like I hadn't even done a single, maybe like a one-off like training here or there, but like not set up with all my materials and everything. So I kind of put myself on this 3-month like probationary period where I'm like, because you know why I do this. I mean, I do this for impact, right? And I'm like, am I going to be able to impact people on a computer? Like, and so I was actually the anti, virtual training. I was like, everything should be person. So I put myself on a probationary period, and I was like, all right, I got some clients. They were already set up for virtual. So I'm like, I'm going to read every single evaluation I get back and see if I want to do this. And it worked out. And along the way, I started to fall in love with doing virtual training. And so now the silver lining came out several months later. So probably around August, early August, mid-August was where work started to finally pick up a little bit. But those months, man, I was sweating.
Yes, I know all about it. I know all about it. They're scared. They don't know. They're not signing up for things. They're not getting involved with things. It was a scary time for all of us. I'm with you, girl.
Super scary. And then the whole LinkedIn thing happened too, where I got like booted off of LinkedIn for a couple months.
Can you tell me that story? Tell me what happened.
So that was first week of April. I did a podcast with Summer Watson.
Mm-hmm. Love Summer. She's the best.
And we were talking about the same thing that we're talking about right now about like how hate crimes against Asians were happening because after COVID and, our former president didn't really help by making all these comments and inciting racism. So I did a podcast with her, and that was our topic about how racism had increased. And I was talking to employers about what do you need to do to make sure you're protecting your Asian employers? And it sucks that a year later, we're having the same damn conversation right now that we're having a year from now. So, that's not cool. So I was so excited about that conversation because that was the first podcast that I did where I actually started sharing more of my personal life. Prior to that, I was doing some, but it was all professional. That was the first one where I really started opening up about my history and what I'd gone through. So that was a very meaningful podcast. So what I was doing was I was cutting and pasting that link into my messages to certain connections. And they thought that I was using an automated robot to do that. And I told them I wasn't,
Yeah.
and any dummy could have figured out I wasn't, because I wasn't just like, I'm like, look, if I was really going to use a robot, I'd get one where I press one button and it goes to all
Right.
seven.
Why would I spend all this time?
Why would
Yeah.
I sit there for hours cutting and pasting, And so, so they permanently banned me from LinkedIn. And I was like, fuck that. No, it's not happening, man. Because I did my whole business on LinkedIn at that point. Like everything was on LinkedIn. I had 17,000 connections that I went from like 700 to 17,000. So I was working hard on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I know how that
really cut off my ability to run my business. So I was like, no, that's like stealing from me. So I created this video and then it went viral. And then apparently it got to the leadership and they were like, oh, okay. And then they started calling me and then they did some sort of investigation and put me back on there.
Wow. Good for you for fighting back and being your own advocate. I want to go back for a second.
I didn't do anything wrong. I was like, wait a second.
No, totally. But many people would have laid down. Many people would have laid down.
It's like a computer saying that I'm using a computer and a human being saying, well, I'm not using a computer.
Right.
I was like,
so go back for a second though. And when you said to me, something stuck out to me. By the way, I did a thing.
What? I saw that thing.
Yeah, I did a thing. This is like every time I go like that, I go, oh, yay. Yes. So let's hope my parents aren't watching. But what you said to me, that's when I started to get personal.
Yeah.
And that is resonating with me because that is so much of what I do. And I talk about authenticity and I really try to show my vulnerability and who I am and my realness and genuineness. And that's how I connect with most people. How did you decide to start to do that? What happened?
No, it just, I didn't really sit down and think about it. I literally was feeling, I think when you're starting to share about yourself, and I know you do this a lot, we share about our lives and the lessons we're learning and we're kind of going through that, right? Like this isn't something we just sit around and make up. Like the videos that you put out there, you're in the moment, you're feeling something and you want to communicate that to the world to help, to share some insights, to give us some tools, right? And so it's the same thing with me. And so it was, that conversation was really heavy, and we dealt with people, Asian American people were getting, harmed. And that really touched me to the core. And it really brought back a lot of trauma when I'd gone through it, when I was younger. And so it was kind of reliving that again. And so that conversation meant a lot to me. And so I sat there for, I think it was like 4 hours where I was sending that video to people. And I'd never, to that extent, I mean, I had not done that before. And so aside from the fact that they were punishing me for something I wasn't doing, but it was also because this was something I wanted to spread and I should be able to do that.
Your impact and
my connections, I mean, if I want to send 17,000 connections, the same damn video, I should be able to do that. These are my connections. If they say, Sejal, don't send me anything, then that's a different story. But that wasn't the case, right? So it was the first time in my whole life where I actually stood up for myself in that way. Like as an attorney, I defend other people and I stand up for their rights. And this was the first time where I was like, okay, no, this is
not happening. I'm going to fight for
you. You are, but I'm not going to let you just walk away without a fight. I got to fight back. And I did. And that was like, it was a pretty huge thing because I had some people trying to talk me out of it too. They were like, this could be career suicide. And I'm like, you know what? They didn't steal from you. They stole 2 years of my work from me. My whole digital identity gone that I built for 2 years. And I was like,
I understand. I mean, and not only that, it was violating to you because it was taking something away from you. You were sharing a piece of you and a part of you, and opening a window to who you are, and that was stripped. So I'm so happy that it turned out the way that it did because
I'm going to send you the link to the video. I'm going to send you the link to the video, man. I pulled it out. I wasn't messing around.
No. So tell me about like when you first, the reactions that you got from like that video or from you starting to open up about your personal experience.
Well, so the whole situation was even worse because it happened right during COVID, right? So of course I'm on there more than usual. Hello, I'm out of a job. Like I literally
Yeah.
have a whole business. Of course I'm going to be on there 24 hours a day trying to get work, right? Like
Yep.
it's like, and I even wrote them emails saying I'm a single mom. Like I'm just trying to save my business. Like I own my own business. I'm trying to get more, I wrote them emails like explaining this. So in my video, I document the whole thing because everything was in writing. Nobody ever spoke to me. I even like literally begged them and said, can somebody please just give me a call? Because you're literally preventing me from running my business. Like, let me talk to somebody. And they
This is
flat out
your
rejected me.
livelihood.
They told me no in writing. They're like, at this time, we don't do this. And I was like, so for a month and a half, I was basically not able to do anything for my company. I had no way to contact all those people, like unless we were emailing each other. But I usually do everything over the messenger thing, right? And so,
Yeah.
and they didn't even give me access to my thing. So on top of what they did, then now we're dealing with COVID, right? And so there's no work. So the stress of that's going on. And then we were homeschooling too. So I have an 8-year-old. So it all just hit, like, talk about like bam, 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 like, hard knocks coming at you in a very short period of time. So that was really, really tough. And I'm telling you, Annie, the thing that got me through that was just my gratitude mantra. I would just sit down no matter how bad these things were going on. And I literally wanted to just go into a cave for a while and just and I felt like I did. At some point, I think I created my bubble. And I literally went off of all the other social media. I stopped watching the news. I was just literally like,
you went into a depression in a way.
I'm going to protect myself and just do what I can to show up for the people in my life and do the work that I want. And, and really, I would just start counting. I'm grateful for my son. I'm grateful for having a roof over my head. I'm grateful that my fridge has food in it. And I would just keep counting. And then at some point, the chemistry would start changing and I start feeling better. But that's literally what I had to do, like to the point where I even stopped having wine, because whenever I would have the wine, it would just take me down that negative spiral. And I was like, okay, I literally stopped drinking because I was like, you know what? I'm not in a mentally good place right now. I'm dealing with a lot and I don't want to hide from it, right? I need to face this so I can move forward. And I did. And then that's how I got it. But the gratitude mantra thing is so important in times.
You are the quintessential example of when people ask me, and I have clients ask me almost daily, what is journaling or doing a gratitude list? What's that going to do for me? Like, really, what is that going to do for me? Yeah. And I try to explain, and you're a perfect example of actually changing almost like your neuro pathways or whatever. You're changing the way your whole entire mindset is.
Oh, yeah. That last year, transformational in my life for sure. Mm-hmm. And anybody that follows me on LinkedIn or has followed my journey can easily see that. The growth,
the change. So tell me about how you see yourself now that you've come to the other side, you see the light, you're in the light. Yeah. And I know all about what it's like to see and be in the darkness and come out and be in the light. So tell me about what that feels like to you.
It's a work in progress, man. It literally is every day. I mean, I am very intentional about everything I'm doing right now and who I'm surrounding myself with and what I'm putting out into the universe, the intentions I have, what am I doing? What am I posting? I'm very, very selective about what I'm putting out there and really understanding what my lane is and figuring that out. That this last year I figured out my lane and I'm like, there's nobody that can now that I figured it out, it's my way. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it because everyone's got a different approach and I'm very comfortable now with my approach in what I'm doing. So, and my part in all of it.
Would you say that these obstacles and struggles actually contributed to the strength and courage that you have? Do you think it made you stronger?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think it's also just aligning your actions with what you truly want to do. When you didn't have, when I didn't have a choice, and it really makes you think whoa, I will be honest with you. All of the things I've just described to you were intense and it was painful, but you know what? Inside, I was the calmest I've ever been in my life.
You were centered.
Last year. No. Oh, yeah. Last year, even though I was going through tons of all of that stuff we just talked about, mentally, I just felt very calm because, again, I created that bubble and I really just started honing in on just what my life and being present and really focusing on my son. That was a huge thing, too.
Wow. It's quite a learning lesson for anybody listening or watching the replay that, because believe me, there's plenty of people that are stuck right now, and plenty of people that are in the dark, and there is hope and there is light on the other side. It's taking inventory of what you have going on for you, who you are, and your core values, going back to your core values and like, as you said, aligning with them.
And just, it made it easier, I know, because I work for myself. Like if I had to go and deal with other people. So I could choose who I want to be around, right? When you're going into an organization and you don't have a choice, and now you have to put up with people that maybe you like or you don't like, that creates a whole different element. But because I live by myself, I'm a single mom, so I don't have anybody else that I'm dealing with in my house. The only person in my house is my son and me and my cat. Right.
I get it.
So I literally, when I say I created a bubble, I'm not joking. I totally created a bubble. I restricted anything like negative or any of these negative energies. I literally had to just put my arms out and say, okay, I'm in survival mode right now, and I got to take care of me. And that's what I did, me and my son. And I literally focused in on that.
Fight or flight, almost. Like you just go and you survive, and people say, how do you do it? And you're like, you just do it.
One step at a time, and every day. Keep going, and that's why, like, I had to intentionally eliminate things that were going to take me away from that. Like I said, before that, like I get like a bottle of wine a week, right? And that was my way of relaxing. And I very quickly realized that this can turn into a problem.
Wow.
Because of what I'm going through up here. And so it's different, because when you're dealing with so many things coming at you, it's a different kind of thing. Back in the day, I can drink a lot of guys under the table, right? Like that was back in the day. But now, right, knowing that, wait, I am like, there's a lot on the line right now that I need to figure out. And so really just, and even friendships. So it's not just alcohol, but just like friendships, like people that were kind of draining my negative energy, because I was packed to the rim with just, my energy was being used up with just survival mode, where if somebody else is coming into my picture, like I went hiking with a girlfriend one time, and I felt really drained after that hike, and I had to actually say, I'm sorry, I can't do this right now, because I'm using up everything I've got right now to get through to the next point. Right. So, but going through that also, and having a lot of conversations with amazing people, what I also learned is a lot of just that, look, we're all suffering. COVID didn't discriminate against any one of us. Like I'm grateful that I didn't lose anybody close to me during COVID because of COVID. I know a lot of people did. And so that's why, going back to that gratitude thing, it really does help, because when you start looking at what you have, you realize that there's a lot of people that were suffering last year in a lot of ways, in different ways. Right. And so everybody was. And so whenever somebody said that last year, where I heard people saying this a lot, that, oh, we're all kind of going through this. And I'm like, no, we're going through a pandemic together, but what each one of us individually is going through is totally different. Right. Totally different.
Yeah. Completely. And that's with any struggle. I mean, you can't really fully understand and put yourself in somebody else's shoes and understand their particular struggle. And many struggles we don't even know are going on. There's many things where, let's say somebody's like, has a gajillion connections on LinkedIn and is always on it, blah, blah. They might not be successful in their business. Like, there's things we don't know. And we have to always keep that in mind when dealing with other people and feeling that empathy for them and compassion. Where did you get all of this self-awareness? You have tremendous self-awareness. So I think if I were to assess you, that's what helped you get over the hump with everything. You have a tremendous self-awareness. Where did that come from?
I just have faith. I have faith in the universe. I've always been that way. I believe that things happen for a reason. And I truly, I feel like if you're out there doing the right thing and it's really coming from a good place inside of you, and you're trying to make the world a better place, the universe is going to have your back. Anyway, it may not be in the way that you want it. Right. But that's okay, because maybe you don't really know, what's best for you. A lot of times, I look back some of the decisions I've made in my life. The universe would have slapped me around a little bit and been like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Yeah. No,
you're smarter than that. Why are you making these dumb choices?
Yeah, that's hindsight. You know,
So
it always
sometimes we think that it doesn't have our back, but if, you know, when you look back on it, like I have so many examples of that where the universe just like, here you go. Like, okay, you've suffered enough. Here's the thing. Now will you walk? Like, you know,
yeah,
but trusting the universe to know that like we're on this journey. Like that's all we're doing right now. Like all this stuff that we have and everything that I believe that is, you know, it's going to go on with or without us. And all of this stuff is just meaningful if we give it meaning. I mean, you know, and if we don't, it's okay. But I think like again, and I know that you're the same way. Being a mother, I mean, that was when my transformation started, was when I had my son.
absolutely.
It started then, and it's going to continue till the rest of my life, right? So, but that gives me, you know, when I think about having that faith in the universe, it's just that I try to live my life through his life. I try to see.
I know,
right?
And,
I know you will. So I've seen your pictures, and
how old is your son?
He's 8.
He's 8. Okay. So I'm going to tell you this, that you can't have experienced yet, but you might know that there's this transformation that happens. I have an 11-and-a-half-year-old and I have a 9-year-old daughter, but my son is 11-and-a-half. And I have to tell you that there's this thing that happened. He's my soul child. So we're connected at the soul. I know this to be true, but like something transforms it changed in our relationship for the good. And we are closer than ever because he now is not to say that your son isn't a person at 8. There are people, but they become more people-y. they're his own person. He has his feelings and emotions, and he's becoming a young adult, you know, and a young man, and he's going to get bar mitzvah next year. And, you know, there's all these things. And like, I joke with him, and I am with him, and I connect with him on such an incredibly deep level. And you have that to look forward to in the next couple of years, because it started to happen at 9, 10, and now 11 and almost 12. It's the mother and son relationship is really remarkable.
It's a beautiful journey. And out of everything last year that I like is like the best thing that came out of last year is that I got to homeschool my son. You know, because I mean, I've been with him pretty much his whole life. Like, so when he was born, I left working for law firms and I started my thing at home because I wanted to be a stay at home and I wanted to work from home. So for like 3.5 years, I was at home taking care of him. So I knew my place. Like, I wanted to be around him as much as possible. Like, I know there are some parents that are like, get me away from my kid. I am not one of them. I want to spend every single second with him if I could. Right. So then when he got a little bit older, I was like, okay, you know what? I need to study paycheck. I need something more reliable, that BS called life. And I'm like, okay, so I need to go back to work. And I went, got a full-time job, and I couldn't do it. I did it for 2.5 years. And mentally, I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. I was feeling like I was missing out on his life. Like, it was just not me. It was not what I wanted. And so starting my own business was awesome, right? But what I got last year was that time with him that I was yearning for. And that was also a part of what really sort of helped me align everything together. Like, that started to cement inside was I got that time with him. I got to teach him things. I got to like see his development, his growth, and see my part in it again. And like, there's no going back.
There's such an incredible, and people know me.
I'll eat tuna before I go back to work for somebody else, right? Like,
people know me to be the person that will say, life is so crazy. My kids are driving, they're having, you know, he's whatever. But like, it is an incredible silver lining through this whole pandemic and experience that having them home, as hard as it is, because there are definitely obstacles. I mean, now we're in hybrid. So my obstacle is, you know, I take the kids to school, I come home, I sharpen a pencil, maybe make a phone call, and I go back and pick them up. So, like, that's how long hybrid school lasts. But like, you know, and just the struggles of getting through the Zooms, and, you know, when my daughter has something wrong with their computer, there's always like a drama, but like, I get to be with them. I get to feel them and be with them and see their work that they're doing. And a lot of that gets missed when they're not at home. So it's really been, when you look at it, it's all perspective and mindset, because I could be like, this is so hard, you know, and some days I'm a little bit like that, but I really, really try to really center myself and just say, you know, this isn't going to be forever.
Yes.
You know, they're not always going to be homeschooled, and I'm not always going to have them. You know, my daughter she sleeps with me. Like, she comes in and sleeps with me every night. Like, like she's my Velcro, you know, I don't know it any other way. So
we're wired for that. We're wired for that connection. That's what we're wired for. They need it too, right? I mean, I've seen such a growth in him this past year when I've been able to give him that kind of attention. And by the way, yeah, totally. There are days where I'm like, that's why I added a title to my LinkedIn profile. I added just like a month and a half ago, Master Juggler. Because seriously,
I thought to myself, did she
be like that? I'm like, something's going to fall and whatever. I mean, you know, you got to prioritize. And if it falls, hopefully it's not the glass thing, right? Like,
right. But what you're doing, Sejal, what you're doing is you're allowing.
Yeah.
It's that allowing to say, you know, I'm not going to have everything I want done today. I'm not going to have the house neat the way I want it. It's not going to be, you know, I'm just not. And those corners have to be cut right now so I can be present for my kids.
Totally. I mean, I turned out like a couple of training gigs because they were going to cut into the time that I needed to spend with him while he was homeschooling. And I'm like, wow. You know, I mean, it's like, no, I need to be present for him. This is priority. And yes, it hurt like hell to let that money go, right? Like, because I needed it. But I realized like there's going to be these things that are going to try to pull us away from what really makes us feel fulfilled. And that's when you got to say no. No matter how much it hurts, you got to just stick to it. And it's hard. Trust me. Right. I mean, you know, scraping by, but it's okay because I'm doing what makes me feel fulfilled. It doesn't matter how much money I have in the bank account. It gives a, you know, it's, am I feeling fulfilled right now? Am I giving my son the best life that I possibly can? Is it going to be better if I take that training gig and I'm away from him for 12 hours, or do I spend the 12 hours with him because this is going to be good for him and it's going to be good for me? And then you just got to, you know, you got to stick to that. What I've been saying a lot is, what are my non-negotiables? What are my non-negotiables? And then just, no matter what comes up and tries to tempt you, you stick to your non-negotiables, right? And keep it that simple. Like, let's not complicate things.
Right. Why are we making it so complicated? Jeff says, 2 incredibly inspiring ladies. Thank you for sharing your experience, wisdom, powerful. Thank you, Jeff, for being here. Appreciate that. We definitely have a lot in common. I mean, we didn't even talk about like work, or we just had like a total one-off conversation about like everything.
We're going to talk about work.
It's one of my favorite things about you since we spoke is just that. And I always talk about living with Annietude, talk about authenticity, showing up as you, knowing who you are. And like from Jump Street, from the first conversation, that was my favorite thing about you, was you show up as you. And you know who you are, and it's inspiring. So just know that.
You're the same way.
I appreciate that. But you know how you can see it in other people, but you don't always see it in yourself. You know, like I think I do. I definitely try to walk the talk and do all of those things that I preach. But it's nice to hear. So thank you. That's why we connect so much. And you're doing some really, really amazing things. Where can people, we're like coming at the end of the hour already, where can people find you? And if people want to reach out, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So LinkedIn is the only platform that I'm on. So, you know, connect with me on LinkedIn. I am a true believer, and you know this, Annie, that there's so much like, you know, information out there that you can't really trust, or we don't know like what viewpoint that is. So I've made it a mission to like gather good factual information that's going to be helpful to employees, to be employers, just for people to grow and for us to kind of move past where we are right now, because we really do need everybody to show up as a leader in your own life and do things. And so I'm always putting out information to help people kind of grow, to expand their awareness. Because a lot of the stuff I've realized in what I've done is in my career is that a lot of this stuff is it's based on ignorance, right? It's based on people just not knowing and not
necessarily come from me.
Yeah.
You know,
so I always post like good resources that I trust, that I value. So LinkedIn would be a great way. And then if you want to know about like what kind of trainings I do, you can always go to my website, Train Extra. It's TrainXtra.com. And then don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to, you know, I've been talking to a lot of people. So even if I can't help with whatever you're dealing with, I'm happy to look into my network. And Annie, you know, I'm a major connector, so I'm happy to.
You are. I mean, one of my other favorite things about you are, and you've connected me with some really incredible people. Thank you for that. I am so grateful to you. You seriously have been one of my like saving graces with putting me in touch with amazing people. So thank you. I'm really, really grateful for you. Well, that's like the end of the show already. I could talk to you for like 2 more hours. So let's do this again. And I just wanted to say thank you for being here and telling us just sort of a little window into you and your world. I appreciate it. And your son is a very, very lucky boy.
Thank you for inviting me. This was great. I had a great time. It was like catch up, which is exactly what I figured was going to happen.
I wanted all that prep I made you do, right?
I know, right?
She's like, do you have to do any prep? I'm like, no, just come on.
I did prep though. This is the most dolled up I've gotten like all week. All right.
I am that sexy shirt. I'm wearing a sweatshirt, girl. I mean, but that's how I roll. So thank you. Love to you. Mad respect, and we will talk soon. Thank you to everybody. By the way, I'm getting an outro and an intro soon. So like we're gonna get even more professional. But for now, here's my outro.
Bye everyone.
Bye, everybody. Good night.